Hi, everyone. This is another episode of SBC Leaders Podcast. Thank you for joining. I'm Kelly Kehn, Global Relationship Director for SBC. And today I am honored to be joined by Niels Onkenhout, who's the CEO of the Dutch National Lottery. Now, we all know that the Netherlands, as a newly regulated market, is top of everyone's mind. So I am excited to talk to him about what's happening there and what we can expect going forward. Welcome, Niels.
Thank you, Kelly. Happy to be at SBC.
Let's kick it off. Let's first start about what's happening in the Dutch market right now. Regulated 4 months ago. And so I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about what's happening now. Is the excitement still there? Has it slowed down? What's happening?
There's two sides to that coin. There's excitement still going on. And the other side is the panic amongst politicians and regulators on the sheer level of advertising and how we are leading the younger people into the abyss already after 3 or after 4 months. An advertising ban, the minister, a new government in the Netherlands, the one after the other minister is called into the parliament to be questions on how this can all come about, and particularly what influence the minister wants to have on both the state holdings who are also active in this market, on which I represent one.
I live in the UK, so none of that sounds very unfamiliar to me, but it's interesting that it's happening in other markets. You said you're not new to the market. Obviously, the Dutch National Lottery is an incumbent. They've been in the market for quite some time. How are you handling new competition?
We are a traditional lottery organization. Oldest lottery in the world, the Nederlandse Loterij, the state lottery, 295 years old, older than the United States. Since 1955, Dutch Lottery also has a sports betting brand called Toto, always pre-match, and it was a very small brand. And in the last couple of years, we've managed to ignite that brand, and it's become quite significant through a number of reasons, but also in view of preparing ourselves for, of course, the opening of the market, regulating the market. When this market opened October 1st, the market was incredibly well detailed from a regulatory point of view. But an enormous amount of rules and regulations drawn from all the experiences of other countries, whether it's the UK or Scandinavia, which is often a role model for Holland. As of October 1st, there were 10 companies who obtained a license to operate, but all the companies and some very large ones who were active in the Netherlands before the market was regulated, so illegal, they were forced by the Dutch government to go, turn their screens black. And of course, we saw profit warnings from some of the publicly quoted companies, where suddenly they had a huge hit in their P&L, and they had to, of course, go public with that. So we had a good sense of this was really quite hurtful. When these operators went black, their screens went black. 5% of their customers went into even worse areas, so really illegal areas. The other 95%, probably ended up with the 10 operators who got a license, of which the Nederlandse Loterij, the Dutch state lottery, is one.
You are the incumbent, and you've been in the Netherlands. As you said, you're the longest standing state lottery. What kind of advantages does that offer? Understanding your customer base, or understanding the market at large, what they want, and you did say you're the leader in the market as well. So tell me where the advantages are.
Well, the advantage is, of course, that you are in this market. You are very well plugged into Dutch society. You understand what the emotions are and how the different stakeholders act and what their beliefs are, and how you can anticipate on it. The second advantage, although not a real advantage, is we have 3 shareholders, which is the Dutch state, which is the Dutch National Olympic Committee, and a group of 18 good causes. So we have 3 shareholders, but the fact that we are, for a majority state-owned, that helps us, of course, to understand much better what happens in the political arena. The third one is because of the Netherlands being so late in regulating this market, we could draw upon the experience of other countries, particularly I just mentioned Scandinavia, but also other countries where things went wrong or things didn't work out very well. So we had ample preparation time. And the fact that we've had, of course, with sports betting albeit only pre-match, so no live betting. We have a very well-known brand, which has a very strong brand equity that helped us to a flying start. And then the sheer fact that the illegal operators, had to really step out of the market as of October 1st. That was, of course, an advantage that nobody could anticipate.
Being native to the Dutch market, does it help you pinpoint and understand when we may need to protect our customers a bit better? I see so many coming into markets without that sort of thought process. So wondering what you thought about that.
Well, responsible gaming, that is in the DNA of the Dutch National Lottery. As a state-owned company, we are expected to be at least a little bit more restrictive and compared to just an open market where everybody competes. Although if you're not successful, if you don't have compelling advertising, compelling propositions, a good sports book, you don't compete, you don't have an influence. So we are balancing this between, we are the largest, we are the incumbent, we are a very successful brand. We need to compete head on with increased competition, depositing limits, playing limits. This is all very important to us because we have that responsibility and our position in Dutch society. So it is expected from us. We have, for instance, loss restriction, which is not required by law, but when you are between 18 and 23, there's a lot of focus in Holland on protecting what we call young adults, so between 18 and 23. We have even gone a step further. You are not allowed to lose more than 400 euros a month when you're in that age group. It's just not possible in our company. That's not something other companies do. We expect in the coming couple of months another 10 licensees to enter the market, which means that in a country the size of Holland, which is about the size of New Jersey, I always say, it will have about 20 or something companies that will offer online gaming. So interesting. But a sizable market and probably good winnings to take for all companies.
It must be a really interesting and prestigious position to be an incumbent, to be the CEO of the incumbent in a market that is probably Europe's most exciting at the moment. Everyone's looking at the Dutch market to see what's going to happen. Right during a Winter Olympics, but also right before we get 2 World Cups coming up, right, as well. Right. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your personal take, how you got to be CEO, sort of your path, and then a little bit about where you're going. So tell us first about how you got to be CEO. What was the path that you took?
One nuance, of course, important. The exciting part is, do not look at my paycheck. That is less exciting. Being state-owned. So that's a bit restrictive as well in the Netherlands. But no, in jest, this is a great job, one of the best jobs I've had ever. Particularly because of it, with the fact that I mentioned the Dutch Olympic Committee, where we are our shareholder. That means we are a huge sponsor for them. So actually, as the Dutch are skating towards a lot of gold medals in Beijing today, that is also part of our doing because of the funds we provide to the Dutch Olympic Committee. So it's an exciting job. My background is a bit funny because I'm a lawyer actually by training. I've never practiced any law. After law school, I immediately entered the fascinating world of soap and diapers and shampoos at Procter & Gamble, where I spent a long time at P&G, also abroad. And then I did a spell at Royal Philips Electronics, was in the board of a Dutch food company, and later on in the board of the second largest Dutch food retailer called Jumbo. I was CEO of 2 food retail chains. So always consumers, stores, production, making things. And at the phase in my career where somebody said, hey, this guy is able to merge companies in a good way and get things going. I was asked to for this position, which was actually the merger of 2 lottery organizations. One, the state-owned State Lottery, and the other one was the other company called Lotto, which included, by the way, all of the brands Toto, but also scratch tickets. Both companies were in major trouble. And I was asked 5 years ago to join and merge the 2 companies and prepare them for the future. And that's my job today. It's an exciting job, a great team here. Business is doing very well. 600 million of our turnover is in retail. So there's a lot of retail stores that sell lottery tickets. 800 million is online, but we have also a particularity in Holland that we also have a subscription model for our lotteries. So people subscribe to our lotteries. And of course, that is great. We have about 1.2 million subscribers. And that gives a very solid base for our business.
You are my second guest, actually, to tell me they come from fast-moving consumer goods. I had another guest that came from Unilever.
Right.
And I'll ask you, because I'm really curious, you said a little bit about it, but what does that experience, because for someone I've had my entire career in betting and gambling, I can't even picture it transferring into fast-moving consumer goods. So tell me that experience, what you had and what you sort of brought to that, because I think that's really interesting.
Training, and I can only refer, of course, to P&G, which is has been a great learning school for me. As I mentioned, I spent a few years in Paris running their health and beauty care division over there. P&G is of course, people say it's a marketing company, but it's a technical company about products, superior products. So it's about great products. It's about understanding consumer needs and consumer habits, turning that into viable strategies, executing them with excellence. And that is really, the boot camp you're in when you're at P&G, and that's what's being drilled into your brain. Not working from only intuition, but from data, from facts, from consumer needs, consumer insights, turning those into compelling proposition for whatever product you are responsible for. And quite honestly, whether you are developing advertising for Head and Shoulders, which I did in the past, or developing advertising for our Toto campaign, a compelling proposition for our sports betting business, there's not much difference. Well, and the other thing is, I have to admit that marketing is, of course, a profession where you have absolutely no need of any prior knowledge or particular skills. So it's also sometimes common sense.
P&G is a huge market leader, but constantly being bombarded with new competition. That seems to be a similar position that you're in at the moment. Yep. You also mentioned COVID having a big effect and moving a lot of your play or your revenue online. So you've got a team and you are leading this team. So talk to me a little bit about how you're leading with that constant bombardment, those new competitors coming in, the new laws changing, the screens going black. Like, what kind of culture are you creating and what do you want them to take away?
Very good question. A couple of things. One is, but that's more of a principle thing. It's only a job. So, it's important to be motivated, but it's only a job. So there are more important things in life than work. It is quite a intrusion on free time, I always say. So better make it a fun experience where people feel safe and feel happy to work. And if people ask me, hey, how are things at the Dutch National Lottery? I always say it's probably pretty good because I hear a lot of laughter in the hallway. So that is kind of a philosophy. Secondly, I think there's also a point of having a shared sense of purpose. I think that's prevalent today in society at large. In our case as well, because, ultimately we sell products that nobody needs because, it's just we sell hope, or a dream. And our transaction is not concrete. It's only we're selling hope. So for the people to do that kind of work, it's important, but that's specific to the Dutch National Lottery, is that the fact is that all the money we make, we basically plow back into Dutch society, into sports, but also to the Ministry of Finance, and then obviously does good things with it for Dutch society. So that is helpful for us to kind of have this common sense of purpose in our company. The second one is I think we made a very conscious choice on we call our core values. And that is not post-its on a wall, but we live them. We often take decisions which are not in the interest of turnover or profit, but are in the interest of doing the right thing and living our core values. After the merger, 75% to date of our employees are less than 3 years on employment. So there's a huge change. We've transitioned the company from what I call intuitive marketing to much more technology-based, data-driven. With the opening of the online market, clearly we needed a lot of talent, which was international talent. We didn't have a lot of people who were experts on online casinos or live casino or slot machines. We saw a huge internationalization in our company. So people who've settled in from places like Malta, Gibraltar, but also Las Vegas or maybe Eastern Europe, have settled in with their families, and they're planning to stay for a while. So that's what we've done.
You mentioned selling the dream, which I love, obviously, because I think for the most part we do that. And I know that you've got some partnerships with the Dutch Olympic Committee and soccer. Do you have any sports heroes, or do you have any heroes in general that you sort of look to when making big decisions or live by?
We have a few ambassadors which are basically on the payroll we use commercially, but also managing our stakeholders. And there's a few of these people. By the way, the guy who is the chef de mission of the Olympic team, guy who's the Olympic gold winner swimming, Pieter van der Hoogeband, international, pretty famous. These are people who are very much an inspiration to us as well. And we have a number of those. Also, some of the people skating actually at this point in time in Beijing. And we have a couple of people here who are unbelievable, who have gone through adversity and gone to win Olympic medals at the Paralympics. So we have a number of those people, and they are a great inspiration, and often are here in the company as well, talk to our people or do activities with our people. And we have a program here in the Dutch National Lottery where we actually employ some of the ex-athletes who have, given all of their life to, their sport. Yeah. And then they're 35, and then, okay, what is next? So actually, we just hired an Olympic medalist she's an ex-sailor in the 470 class, Lotke Berghout, and she works at our sponsoring department. So we try to live also that part of our mission.
Do you have any role models outside of sports?
Although there's some criticism to date, but the previous CEO of Unilever is a guy I know quite well from the past, Paul Polman, who also ex-P&G. And Paul Polman has transitioned was in the process of transitioning Unilever to much more a purpose-driven company where a company is here to add value to society and not only to add value to the shareholder. So transitioning into a much more sustainable modus operandi. I have great admiration for him. So you could call him a role model, but there are many, many more.
What you see in Procter & Gamble and Unilever at the moment is they are really values-based, and it comes across in their marketing. What impact are you hoping to leave on the industry at large when you leave the Dutch National Lottery?
There's a number of challenges, particularly in the online gaming market, of course. One of the things which I found is making the step from saying we are protecting consumers to actually making sure that it's really seen in everything we do and actions we take. And I'll give you an example. There are some companies who believe that when in the online arena, a problem player is somebody who calls you that he or she has a problem. And then they have in their statement of purpose, we don't want to make any money on problem players. Well, that is, of course, an easy way, but everyone understands that when you're a problem player, you're not going to call. So have a uniform definition of what a problem player is for every player in the market in the Netherlands, so we can really address those problems. But also in the area, for instance, is when our technology monitors playing behavior, and we have an intervention model which is very active. But there's a lot of discussion around protection of what we call young adults, and I mentioned this previously to you, Kelly. Mm-hmm. But what happens if somebody is 92 and plays 25,000 euros? Shouldn't we talk about that as well? If you think about deposits, maybe every company has a deposit limit, but if somebody has 6 accounts, that's 6 times a day a person can deposit. Shouldn't we have some kind of blockchain technology where we link all that data into some kind of foundation where when somebody has deposited a certain amount at the Dutch National Lottery, that day he cannot deposit at another company because the technology will prohibit it. Those are things which I would really be proud of if I could have an impact. And I think that the industry itself should proactively make that happen as opposed to wait until the regulator or the politicians, usually not often based on facts, make all kinds of decisions which are sometimes adverse or sometimes pretty silly.
Or just totally unaware of how businesses run, sure. I think, as well. Yeah. So we know best how to run our businesses, so why not? NFTs in the Metaverse seem to be very hot topics these days. Yep. So I wanted to give your thoughts on their role when it comes to gambling. So have you considered NFTs as a part of what you're doing? Do you know anything about NFTs?
NFTs, I don't own any. So I'm old school. I've read about it and it's fascinating, and I'm sure there's a segment to it. But I'm also an economist of the old order, which is economies thrive also on people making stuff. And that is all and adding value, and just trading bytes and bits and making money seems to be more of a pyramid game than an actual economic viable activity. But that might be somebody old school speaking. On Metaverse, well, we all understand what Mark Zuckerberg did when he renamed the company. Clearly, from two-dimensional to three-dimensional, anything which has to do with virtual reality. I do not envision myself a world where everybody is, spending their lives with a 3D goggles on and living their avatar in a dream. I must say that I enjoy having a dinner with my children over a glass of wine and talking real things in life. But again, just an opinion.
I had dinner with someone recently who told me, when I have quite young kids, when they're older, when they're when they're young adults, it will be cool to have a farm and be off the grid sort of thing. That will be the new sort of very new trendy thing. And let's hope we go back to that type of thing. But that is all the time that we have for today, Niels. My sincerest thanks for joining us. It was really good fun and really insightful. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for being a great host.
This has been the next episode of SBC Leaders Podcast. I'm Kelly Kehn, Global Relationship Director for SBC, and you can watch, download, or subscribe on any of your favorite podcast channels. Thanks for watching.